Okay, my outstanding friends, this video is to examine this specific little ligament, which is called the interosus ligament. It goes right only at this, for some reason, it goes only across this one bone. Now, a ligament normally attaches something to something else that flexes. And I think this might flex. Now, the reason is I have all of this stuff in Mudfossils, and I think I can see that there could be some flex in this tip. And this is what this ligament affects, is how much of a little flex, that very, very end piece. And that's at the very end of a fingertip. This is a fingertip. All right, from a giant human being. It's been DNA tested, CAT scanned, I have all that stuff I will show you. And here is where that thing invested. See this right here? That's the bottom part right here. And it runs up to this part right here, which is the top part. And then inside of that, you see that round spot? I don't know if you can see that or not. You see that round spot? Underneath that is one of these, which is an apical tuft. Which is that right there? That's the apical tuft. All right, see apical tuft right at the very end. And all of these little holes have balls in them. And the balls and straps run down. And that is what lets your finger do all this stuff. Now, in addition though, I think there's some flexibility between this right here and the rest of the bone. Now, the traditional thinking right now is there is no flexibility. Now, this is the bottom side, and you can actually see where the straps run in to where that ball is here, where all of these balls are. Because there's a bottom part, see it? This one still has one ball left in it. And then here it shows up at the top, is right here, same sort of thing. And that allows your finger, and I think that allows the very, very tip of this, because this part here is only from here up. So I think there's a flexibility, and there might be only in one fingertip, and it might be this one or that one. I don't know. It could be all of them. I have no idea, but I think there is some flexibility, and I'll show you why. Because I see not a bone attachment here. I see a tendinous attachment in the middle. All right, it doesn't appear to me that bone is coming up and attaching here and here. I think it's coming up, and that round spot in the middle, we'll see it in the microscope in a second, has fibers in it, and it can rock just a little bit, not much. And that's what this ligament does. Am I right? Am I wrong? Je ne sais pas. We will have to find out. I want Gil to take a look at it. He's the guy I would trust. And he does autopsies, and he has access to actual cadavers to test this. But he did say that as far as he knew, it was a pretty solid, continuous bone. But he would look at my evidence, and he has. I got to tell you something about Gil. I originally found that this stuff here, this fabric, which is interstitium, and it's in this case on a lung, it's called pleura, but it's the membranes. The membranes protected all my mud fossils, and then I started to find out why, and it was related to heat and basically cooking, and then drying out, and then this was all feldspar. Anyway, that's a whole nother big long story. What I want to know now, is this a new body part, or a new feature that the body has, this little tippy finger to tip over a little tiny bit from here to here. And again, that's a fingertip. This has been CAT scanned and DNA tested and all that stuff. And I have it all right here. I'll show you the whole shooting match here. Oh, this is the fingertip I was just showing you. And this is the bottom part. Hold on, turn this off. Let me just turn the lights off so the pictures will look a little clearer, I hope. That's the bottom of that fingertip. And this is where the ligaments come, you know, the tendons come up the sides, and there's a blood vessel here and one here. All right, and that's where the bone is. This is a thumb. Thumbs are offset. This is a right-hand thumb. See, this is like tissue over here, and that's where the bone is. Now, most of your bones are right in the center, but the thumbs are offsets. Yeah. Do it on your own. You can feel it on your own thumb. Both of them, one goes one way, one goes the other way. But these are where the drivers, which are the tendons wrapped to the muscles and so forth, and then you have the bone that rocks on the next bone. And these are the two blood supplies. One of them is black and one of them is red. Now, this is just gray and black, so, but again, Jesse Grant and Associates did this absolutely fabulous work. You can't get much detail out of mud fossils. It's just not, that's not the way they are. You see this? This is where the fingernail was. That's where the fingernail was. And that's that little cleave right here. Hold on. Here you are. Hold on. That's that cleave right there, you see? And that's where that pinch, that apical tuft ligament attaches up from here down to here. And I can't see any other reason other than if there's some flexibility there. Why would that be there? That's my question. You see this? This is this here, right? This is the same fingertip. And that shows you where the fingernail was. The surface scans are very good. And even the deep scan is better than anybody I've ever seen. Because this is not, the deal here is this is nucleophilic substitution, which means it's submerged in some kind of mineral soup, which has a pH and all the chemistry is there, transition metals are there, everything's there for stabilization, and you can just barely see where the layers of bone meet the fleshy parts. And again, that's offset bone. So you don't get much detail, but the surface detail is I thought was outstanding. You see, here's the bottom part. That's where the apical tuft is. And of course you saw the fingernail spot on the back end here. This is my big fingertip I have out here. DNA tested. No CAT scan. That thing is 3 feet long from front to back. And that's the fingernail. And I broke this piece off. And it just popped right off like a big piece of skin. It's exactly what it is. And here's that big piece of skin right there. And this is where I had to go down inside into the flesh to get some blood, because you can't get it out of this. See this? There's nothing there. And that's when I whacked it, it just popped right off, just like that, like it peeled off like a Velcroed on there. And then I just down right into a artery and sent it off to have it tested, and it came back excellent quality DNA, mitochondrial human. And I can't account for this. Why doesn't somebody look into it? I hear all these people, oh, we want to look this, we will look at that. No, they don't. I haven't had anybody want to really examine my evidence, and it's all here. As a matter of fact, Reuters fact-checked and said, oh, this is all fake, it's all fake. No, my stuff isn't fake. If they're going to fact-check, they have to fact-check me. I was the first one that came out with this stuff. I was the first one to have it DNA tested in the world, anybody, of this ancient mud fossil DNA, and it came out human. And I mean really dense, excellent quality. And I had a DNA test right there. Here's a DNA test right here. I show all this, I'm sure I showed it 2 or 3 times already in the same video. And it goes down all the stuff they did, and they did a great job. And he stands behind the results. But the only thing they want me and you to know is that I was the one that extracted this excellent quality material. And it came out excellent quality DNA tests for the 36-inch tip in the lung. very high quality DNA. I mean, it took it right out of the red blood. And some of this stuff literally has red blood coming out of it. I mean, I could show you lungs, the blood just coming out. And fingertips are just as good as a lung. There's just as much blood in the fingertips. They gush blood out of them. All right, this was the other one, which was the lung. It was on a DNA test, and that's been CAT scanned as well. And again, you don't get a whole lot out of it because it's been transitioned into more or less the same material once you're inside. You can see a little layer around the outside, but that's about it. Now, here's the way you can get the DNA out of here. I have people all the time saying, how do you get DNA out of a rock? You find red blood, which is right here. You have to find an artery or red blood, really dense red blood. And red is red. Now, I'm going to show you what it looks like in the microscope. Here's the microscope down onto here. And then we're going to put a little water on it. And I'm going to turn the light off because you have to have it off to see it in the microscope well. Now, that, excuse me, is what, a good red blood looks like. Doesn't get much redder than that. No. I am going to that's dry. I'm going to put a little bit of moisture on there. Let me turn the light down. The lower the light, you can see the red better. It's that red shift. Okay, here goes. You ready? I'm going to put a little bit of moisture on it. It'll suck that up quick as it can be. Now, I'm going to put it on there, and I'm just going to scope around here, and I'll show you. If you scrape that first, then drilled right into here. You see, you just drill right into that stuff. That just turned, look, see, it's just mud. It's literally mud right now. I mean, you can't help but see that. It's literally mud, or in some case you would call it blood, because that's exactly what it is. Now, of course, I drilled right down into somewhere in there. I mean, it's saturated. It's not like you can't find it. See, it's dried up already. The blood rehydrates very quickly, and then it dries up very quickly. It really wants its cells to be filled up with that. You see that? That's just like if you had a scab forming on your body. Okay, here's the deal. I got confused. I thought this little steps, you see these little steps here? And this step up here, you see that? Those little spots? I thought that was this apical tuft interosus ligament. But that's deep inside. This is all the flesh. This is still flesh out here. So that's not what this is. The apical tuft is one of these. I have so many things, and this is exactly what it is, exact same thing. This one still has one ball attached, and then normally it'd have balls all over here. And the straps come around this. They're not part of this. I still think this is able to pivot to some degree, a hinged or flexible to some tiny degree, right here. Now, these must be muscles. That's what I want to ask Gil about. So Gil, remember this now. These are outside of this interosus ligament, which should be down inside here. So these, I guess, must be like one little set of muscles. I don't know. At this point, I'm a little confused. But anyway, the apical tuft sits right there. And I've shown all the other stuff about the bone and the ligaments and the tendons and the apical tuft and where the fingernail was and all that stuff. All right, so that's the fingertip, and that's a good-sized fingertip, much bigger than mine. Okay, once again I have to have the lights off, but the V comes down like this. We're going to be looking down into the center of the V, and what you're going to see is fibers. I don't think it's a bone attachment. I think it's a tendinous attachment. Here, we're going to go up into the microscope. Hold on. Okay, this is down in that cavity in where this apical tuft meets the fingertip. you see all these little black, I believe those are tendinous straps. And this is where the blood supply is. This is way up here. They break off down inside. That's just the nature of them. Now I'm going to put a taste of water on here and see what happens. Let's see. That should suck right up there pretty quick. All right, wherever you see red, that's some kind of bloody body tissue, primarily. It has some kind of iron in it, I would say, almost positively. Now, this stuff here, it's going to take a while. All these shiny things are, you know what, I could probably do this a different way and do this lighting here. Hold on. Well, you can see, if I get, it should be a bone right there. That should be a bone. It's not a bone. It's a whole batch of these little tiny dots. I don't know if you can see that well, but you can when I take this light off and put the other light back on. You should be able to see. You see that? That's the same well. And these dots, those black dots, are the fibers. And let's just let that dry up for a second or two. I'll come back to it. All right, this is where the blood supply goes in. These are tendon straps. And this whole thing was anchored to the bone which runs down to from the finger. That's what I believe. And I believe this is not a rigid bone. This is a flexible area. Okay, my claim is that this is very, very similar to what a tendon enthesis is. And as they progress out from the anchor, they have different chemistry, and they call them abrupt transitions. Now, I believe this is likely the blood supply. I can't be positive of that. But these are, whoops, those are these. All right, and all these little straps come down and anchor to those balls. And that's exactly what we have there. All those little straps go up, and inside that apical tuft, there has to be little tiny balls. Now, I'm not certain of that. I probably should cut mine open and take a look to see where they end. We'll look at it in a microscope and see if we can determine any more about it. But I can tell you what, it's coated with feldspar, just like all of them are, as you see right there. And then it has this little cavity, which is where it broke off, I believe, from abrupt transitions. You see these different colors? See the green and the red and then the yellow and so forth? Well, those are the transitions between mineralized and less mineralized, and then once they get inside the bone or in the anchor, it's a totally different story. They attach to the balls, but when they break like down inside and leave sort of a cavity. See, this is this cavity on this apical tuft. Watch, it's down here where those attachments go. See down in there? That's where all those black straps go down inside, and the blood supply runs down the side here. All right, but this is a cavity. Are we back? Now we're at the top of the cavity. All right, this is what a regular bone looks like. And it has marrow on the inside, and the bone comes up. And this, though, I believe, well, it comes up to like this. And I believe that this part right there in the center, which I showed you, is just nothing more than fibers. And it can do just a little bit of this and that. I'm not positive of that. But look at this. This is a bone. Well, it's my dog's bone. And this one here, Greg Morrison sent me from down where he is. I think it's in Tennessee or somewhere. And look at that. Look at that thing. It's still packed with marrow. Oh man! And you can obviously see the calcified area on the outside. Bones, sometimes the blood inside will turn to basalt. Like this is a bone too. That's the head of a bone. All right, but inside the blood turned to basalt. It depends on what it's in. This was obviously something different than this. Salts or acids or whatever, I don't know. There's a lot to study in this. This is to me it's fascinating. And I am going to show you what one of these looks like when it erodes a lot. You still have those corners there. You see that? It still has the corner. Look at and we're way down inside, and that is right there, the distal phalanges. That's a bone black pattern of a distal phalanges. And what does a bone black mean? It means this iron. Just like that. You see how that turned black? Those little bled out black from the iron. The same thing with this. If I put a taste of water on there, you'll see this just for a second. Quick, take a quick look. You see the black? That's what a distal phalanges looks like. That black color. That's the fingertip. And there's the vein, and there's the artery. The veins clamp off. See, it's clamped and clamped. You still got that little angle. The arteries blow right out. They blow out, they blow out, they blow out. Their blood supplies all over the place. This died with its fingertip going this direction. I can tell you for a fact, because the blood pools down there and it just explodes right out the sides. And it turns into mud. All right, this came off of the same hand, I'm sure, because it came out of the same hole as this one right here. As this one right here. And now I'm going to show you the knuckle. I got the whole palm from it and everything. Now this was sent to me by Greg. This has nothing to do with me. But I got so many things here that are undeniable. So it's time to examine them and then we'll make a decision. How's about that?